Welcome back to yet another video, guys. I appreciate you watching. It should be the 10th of April today, even though this has been recorded more than a week ago. I really appreciate you being here. According to my calculations, we should have just gone through the 10,000 subscriber mark, which was our main goal when we started this channel a year and about a half ago. I want to thank every single one of you for supporting that channel. If you're not subscribed, make sure you're hitting that subscribe bell and pushing that notification bell so you get notified when we upload new videos, which we do twice a week. In today's video, we're going to be jumping straight into a tank trap stage. I'm going to take you guys through sort of what I do to get steady on tank traps. And when you see a tank trap in a match, it should be guaranteed points because it's quite an easy prop if you know what you're doing. So we're going to jump into different positions. Obviously, they all differ in the size of the physical poles of the tank trap as well as the height of the tank trap. But for the most part, they're relatively similar. So without further ado, let's roll that intro and I'll see you guys on the other side. Before we jump into the stage, I want to give a massive shout out to our friends at Modular Driven Technologies for sponsoring today's video. MDT make world-class chassis systems for your precision rifle to take your shooting to the next level. Make sure you check them out. More than likely, they'll have a solution for your rifle to take your shooting to the next level. Today's video, I'm shooting an MDT ACC chassis, their adjustable core competition chassis. I won almost every single match that I shot with this chassis. It is phenomenally stable. It's almost like I've said to my friends, it feels like I cheat when I shoot this chassis. It's so stable. Right, so in this specific stage, we had to shoot the tank trap from one of the top positions and the middle position. At each position, we had to engage 2 targets with 2 rounds each. So that's 8 shots for the stage in 90 seconds. Let's roll this sucker and see how we did. Okay, so in my head, I'm just running through sort of the sequence that I'm planning on shooting this. The RO's checking that with me. I'm taking my magazine from my pocket, as we've spoken about in the backup magazine video, to make sure that if I have a feeding issue, I can go straight to my mag pouch and reload from there. Checking my dope for the first target, and I'm using the CMH Big Boss bag in this specific video. So I'm just talking to the spotter there to make sure we're on the same page, which sequence I'm going to shoot them in. Now, before we get straight onto that first position, very importantly, on a stage like this, you might not have enough time to go, because the 2 targets were at 2 different distances. So the first one was at, I think, 500 and something, and the next one was in 600 and something. So I'm going to start the stage having already dialed in my elevation call for the first distance. Then I'm going to immediately from that same position, after I engage that, I'm going to shoot the second one. Now, instead of coming back to the first one and having to redial my scope back down to the first dial from the new position and then having to redial up, I'm going to shoot the first one, then I'm going to adjust my elevation and shoot the following one. Then my scope is already set for that further distance. I'm going to move positions, I'm going to engage the furthest one and then dial back. So actually I only have to dial twice in a stage like this versus going back and forth, which is a little bit pointless. So this small little things like that leads to time gains, which leads to building a slightly better position, which leads to more points. At the end of the day, this precision rifle sport, as much as it is a sport, it is also a game. So you've got to find those little marginal gains everywhere in your shooting. Now, if I shoot this stage again going forward, this is just how we sort of progress as marksmen, I guess. I wouldn't necessarily run the large bag like I did. As you guys know, I mostly shoot matches now with a pint-sized Game Changer from Armageddon with the light full. That's the only bag I run. I've gotten away from having multiple bags, and I think it's just a simpler solution. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop the bag onto the top, make sure my rifle is sitting perfectly in that bag, that I have as much surface area of the rifle on the bag, and then I've got my rifle pushed up with the mag well against the side of that bag. So that means there's no free space between where the mag well ends. Over here you can't really see it because my arm's in front of it, but where the mag well ends, if we go back slightly, we might actually be able to see me do that and make sure it is 100%. So if right there, you'll be able to see I'm making sure and visually checking my mag while it's going up against that bag before going into that position, and that's just going to help with the center of gravity on the rifle, and that obviously leads to better recoil management, quicker follow-up shots, and so on. Right, let's go. Okay. Again, I'm going to use both eyes. Okay, I'm going to use both eyes and scan for where my target is with my rifle on the gun. And somehow it's a little bit of a skill you need to practice, and this is something you guys can practice during dry fire, is I almost turn off the vision in this eye and I'm looking with this eye to get me on target, and then I sort of just do that switch, and then generally my target is in my field of view through my optic. And that is a skill that comes with time, but it is something you need to consciously work on, and that allows you also to find your targets very quickly, which leads to shooting them faster, which leads to building better positions, and which leads to match wins ultimately. So I don't close my bolt until I'm on the target. That's very important for anyone shooting, okay? And very importantly, I'm keeping my face on that rifle. After I see where the round's hitting, I'm keeping my face on the gun, and I'm racking the bolt, and I'm engaging that target once again, making sure that I see where those bullets are hitting on the plate so that I can use that wind call, because now I have to go to the next distance, and my wind call on the first distance is more than likely going to be my first estimate on the further distance. Now these distances weren't massively far apart, so I knew that that wind call would get me on the second plate. But very important to keep your face on the rifle when you're shooting a stage like this, or any stage. Okay, so that's another hit. Again, I'm dialing my dope, double checking both eyes on the gun, and getting onto my second target. Another hit there. Okay. So I make sure my bolt is open, I'm visually checking everything's fine. And this is an important skill to practice for you guys. Oh, sorry, I've got an itchy ear. You'll notice that I'm clamping my bag to my forend of my rifle and I'm moving, so that I'm not separating anything, and that will allow me to build my next position a little bit quicker. Now again, with a larger bag like this, I actually dropped the bag here. I somehow managed to have ninja-like reflexes and catch the bag again, which is almost worth an instant replay. Woo! Let's watch that again. That was super cool. Now here I actually don't build, I build a good position, but I don't put the bag down as I would have liked to. And this is something, again, by watching footage back, you get to make little improvements like this. So you'll notice that bag isn't quite wrapped around that pole of the tank trap. And another thing I'm doing here is I've put the magazine that it's actually digging into that bag, which is something you don't really want to do because that can cause feeding issues. Now you'll also notice on my magazine there is a sticker, and the magazine I have on my hip there's no sticker. Now that's very important because I know that the magazine with the sticker won't give me any feeding issues because it hasn't been modified in any way. But my backup magazine has been modified. So if I ever do go to my backup magazine, I know I need to be more conscious with how I manage that bag magazine interface. But in this case, I luckily got away with it. Okay, another thing to notice here, I know this might be a little bit frustrating because you want to watch me shoot, but that would kind of be pointless for a video like this. You'll notice that I've stepped over this portion of the tank trap. I've actually hooked my right leg over, and the tank trap, I'm sort of almost sitting with my groin on the tank trap, and that just allows me to interface with the tank trap much easier. My left arm is actually pushed up against the other pole that I'm holding onto my scope instead of holding onto the forend of my rifle as I would normally. Another option here would be to possibly wrap around that tank trap and have that other leg go through here, but that really wasn't something that I had considered, but going back, that could have possibly been an option. But I think I'm very happy with this position that I ended up here with. I believe stepping over that pole was a valuable lesson for myself, and it is something that I'll look for in the future, because it doesn't interfere with the shooting position. In fact, it just aids to the shooting position. Now, another thing I see people do wrong on tank traps all the time is they shoot it off both of their knees when you're getting into sort of the lower positions. Now, what I like to do, I like to run my right leg on the hand that I'm be shooting with. So if you're right-handed, it's going to be your right leg, and if you're left-handed, it's obviously going to be your left leg. I want a 90-degree bend on my knee, okay, and I'm going to take my shooting elbow and I'm going to rest it on my knee as I'm doing on the table. And that's going to take away any of that sort of unsteadiness, or not take away, but it's going to mitigate that to a large extent. So have a look out for that, and that applies to so many shooting positions in the precision rifle game. If you can put your elbow on your knee, you're going to massively decrease that reticle wobble that you see downrange. So always look for that. If you've got a low position, arm on the knee, that PRS barricade, skills tree, random rocks, whatever the obstacle, that position is available lots of times. For myself, because I've practiced it, sometimes it's not viable to do it with your right hand. I'll just shoot the stage left-handed and build better positions left-handed. But that is, again, a skill one needs to practice. Okay, slow on the bolt close, because I don't want to come off that target when I'm closing that bolt. That's another hit. I'm going to dial my elevation. I'm dialing back to the forward one, and I'm shooting it relatively quickly. And I'm finishing that stage with about 30 seconds left with a full house. So the reason I generally take a very quick follow-up shot is I want to get that second bullet to fly in the exact same conditions, or as close as possible to the conditions of the previous bullet. Because if I know that I'm doing my part, the fundamentals of marksmanship are applied, I'm having good trigger pulls, I've got a good position, good sight picture, and a great natural point of aim, realistically that bullet should hit basically in the same place, as long as we can get the conditions pretty similar. That's why I'm also pretty careful when manipulating that bolt, because I don't want to come off my target at all. We can perhaps do a separate video on bolt manipulation to help you guys get that. Because again, marginal gains. If I'm wrecking my bolt quickly and I'm somehow coming off target and I need to find it again, that's all time that's bleeding out. So here I could have easily built another position and shot possibly 4 more shots from another position because there was enough time. So generally I try and push myself to shoot as quickly as I can once I'm steady, because when you get to a stage where there's 12 rounds in 90 seconds, then you're sort of used to shooting at that cadence. But there's drawbacks to that too. Sometimes I shoot fast and I drop unnecessary points and I finish with 40 seconds on the clock, which is pointless if you're dropping easy give me points. Anyway guys, I hope that helped you with a little bit of insight as to how to shoot the tank trap. Takeaways from this video: if there is an elbow position on a knee supporting, make sure that knee is at as close to 90 seconds as you can. And then you'll also notice here I'm actually sitting on my back foot, and I'm not supporting myself with my muscles. I'm supporting my body with my skeletal structure, and that's going to lead to more stability too. Obviously, shooting a great rifle system such as this rifle, this is a 6.5 Creed in the MDT chassis, that also adds to the experience. But fundamentals of marksmanship will always overrule what sort of system you're using. So make sure you take these tips, you go out, you practice them. If this video has been helpful to you at all, please share this with some of your friends, and make sure you are subscribed down below so that you get notified when we upload new videos. If you guys join the Patreon group after the lockdown, we will do more videos like this. We need 100 people by April. And once again, I want to thank you for subscribing to the YouTube channel. You guys absolutely rock, and it's been a phenomenal journey going from 0 to 10,000, hopefully by this time, with you guys, and I really couldn't have done it without you. So I'm incredibly humbled that you choose to watch these videos. The whole internet is fighting for your attention, and it really means a hell of a lot to me that you guys watch these. So let me know in the comments down below if you've got any tips for us on the tank trap, or if you've learned something. Once again, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. Cheers.